Hello everyone, welcome back to Pre-Algebra. We're in section 2.8, Estimating Products and Quotients. This is just sort of a little trick that they're giving us, a technique to help us see if make sure that we're getting a correct answer when we're working on a problem. It helps you when you're shopping to figure out approximately how one item might cost, how much one item might cost. It helps you say, okay, do I have enough money in my billfold if I'm buying 5 packages of something that costs $2.75 and I'm buying a $2 roast and $3 for something else? You can say, okay, 5 times $2.75, or whatever, 3 times $2.75 is 3, add them all up. Anyway, estimating products and quotients, if it doesn't make sense to you a whole lot, don't worry about it. Work on it though, because it's a valuable life skill to have. It's particularly valuable doing mental math when you are shopping, because you don't want to get up to the register and have the clerk tell you that something is $65 and you have $62.50. You want to make sure that you are prepared to pay for your purchases. Before we begin, this lame joke is courtesy of my husband. What did the ghost say when he ran into the wall? Or what happened to the ghost when he ran into the wall? He got a boo-boo. So he thinks that would definitely be a groaner for you guys, that ought to be on the list for ultra lame jokes. Estimating products, page 63. To estimate a product, round each factor to its greatest place. Real easy. If we have 942 times 78. This says round each factor to its greatest place. Remember, we just talked about factors. Factors are what you multiply together to get an answer. Greatest place means, okay, this one right here, its greatest place is the hundreds. 942 rounds to 100. Are we going to round 78 to the hundreds and say it's 100? No, we're going to round it to its greatest place, which is 80. And now you multiply. This is a neat trick if you haven't learned it, when you're multiplying numbers that are multiples of 10. First you multiply the non-zero part. 9 times 8 is 72. Then you add up the zeros. 1, 2, 3. 72,000. It's really cool. It makes it very easy to do mental arithmetic. Let's say we have 1, 1, I'm not going to do that because that's a division problem. Let me do another multiplication problem for you. Estimate the variable by rounding. This is number 9. This is one of your homework problems in all likelihood. Number 9 says, estimate this, 763. They're still using that multiplication sign as an X, which I hate. We're getting rid of this. We have 763 times 948. That's an ugly number. There are people who can do that multiplication in their head. I can't. But I do know how to round to come up with a good estimate. 763, its greatest place value is 8. We're going to round 763 to 800 because that's 6. Means that this number rounds up. 948, its greatest place value is the 100s, so we're going to round to the hundreds because the digit next to it is less than 5, the number's rounding down to the lower 100, which means there's no change in that digit. Oh, how funny. I did not even realize how similar these problems are. So this rounds to 900. We now have 800 times 900. Remember what I said just a moment ago? When you're multiplying multiples of 10, you multiply together the non-zero digits, and then you tack on as many zeros as there are. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our estimated answer, 763 times 948, is going to give you approximately 720,000. That's all you're going to do to estimate products. Estimating quotients is a little bit different. It's a little bit more awkward. It's maybe not so intuitive, but it can be valuable. Let me show you what goes on here. We have, let's go ahead and estimate this. 1,492 divided by 28. We want to, and I'm looking at that, I don't have a clue, except I'm thinking 15 divided by 30, I don't know. I could come up with an answer, but I'm not going to take the time to do it. But I do know that I can come up with an estimation when I'm dividing. So let's see what they tell us to do. It says, when rounding to estimate a quotient, round the numbers so there's no remainder. In other words, round it to something that you can divide evenly. 1492, I look at that and I'm thinking 1,500 is a nice even number. We're just going to round up to 500. Okay? And we're going to round this to the nearest 10. Divided by 30. Okay. How are we going to do that? Well, let's see what they say. They're saying just go ahead and indicate that we have 1,500 divided by 30, and then go ahead and carry out the division. Let me show you two different written ways to do this. 1,500 divided by 30. This is when canceling common factors is really nice. You have a factor of 10 that cancels. 15 and 3. You have a 5 and 1. What do you have left? You have 50 over 1. You have 50 over 1, which is 50. Let me do that a little more slowly. 1,500 divided by 3, 0, to make 30. We're going to be able to cancel out this 0. What we're actually doing is dividing by 10. Now we're at 150 divided by 3. At this point you can say, oh, $1.50 divided by 3, and no, it's 50. Or you can look at this and say, I can reduce 15 and 3. I can cancel out a 3, for a factor of 3, from each of these numbers. So 15 becomes 5, 3 becomes 1. I have 5, 0, and 3. 50. Let me show you another way, because some of you may be looking at that going, I didn't hint. Okay? Don't you love my expressions? 1,500 divided by 30. That's the same as 15 times 100, 3 times 10. Okay, I'm looking at common things here. Well, now I see that I have common factors here. Out of the 15 and the 3, the factor that's common here is 3. We reduce out of, cancel out of 3, and we have a 5 and 1. Now we have 5 times 100, 1 times 30. I'm sorry, 1 times 10. You can see that there's a common factor of 10. You can cancel out a factor of 10 and 10. 10 times 10 is 100. There. All we have left now, 5 times 10. Okay. This really isn't a class on canceling, on reducing fractions, but this gives us a picture of how it might work. You can also do it this way. Remember that you can cancel zeros at the end. 150 divided by 3. Go ahead and do 150 divided by 3. So come up with 50 as your answer. Okay. What you want to do when you are rounding to find a quotient, sometimes you have to play around with the numbers a little bit to find the dividend, which is the number that you're dividing by, so that there isn't a remainder in the quotient. Let me show you what they're talking about here. 264 divided by 9. That says estimate the value of the variable by rounding. Choose a compatible number for the dividend, or the number by which you're dividing. This is the dividend, remember? So let's go ahead and round this to our nearest 10. Don't round the divisor. 260 divided by 9. Can you divide 26 evenly by 9? Is there something times 9 is equal to 26? Is there some multiplication fact? Well, no. So this is not even. 9's not going to go into there evenly. But what math fact do you know that's close to that? Yeah. 3 times 9 is equal to 27. Okay? So if this was a 27 instead of the 26, then it's going to divide easily. So even though this legitimately and technically rounds down to 260, we're going to estimate that as 270 for this division problem, because then we can divide. 27 divided by 9 is 3, and you have your 0. 270 divided by 9 is 30. 270 divided by 9, 3 times 9 is 27. Bring down the 0. This is what they're talking about. You have to play with the numbers. Dividend, divisor. Let's do another one of those. $1,149 divided by 34. Okay, we want to round the 34 down to 30. Let's look at this and say 1100 would be where it would round closely to. 1149 we could round down to the hundreds. 1100 divided by 30. Okay? We're just looking at dividing the non-zero parts. 11 divided by 3. Can you do that evenly? Is there something where you say 3 times some value is equal to 11? No, there's no such thing, because 11 is a prime number. So our 1100 here doesn't do us any good. But what math fact do you know, including multiplication, that uses 3 as a factor, where you get close to 11? Yeah. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So even though 1149 technically rounds down to 1100, we're going to round this for the purpose of estimating a quotient to 1200. We're going to divide that by 30. We're going to see that 40 is our solution. Our answer, 1200 divided by 30, a factor of 10 cancels. You have 120 divided by 3 is 40. Or how many times will 3 go into 12? Goes in 4. You still have the 0 here. So 40 is your solution. Okay? That's what we're doing when we divide, when we estimate quotients. Do your best to make some sense of these. It trains your brain to do some estimating that's very helpful in real life. Do not have this be the hill that you die on. In the grand scheme of algebra, estimating quotients is not huge, okay? Don't just slough it off, but don't just drive yourself nuts if you can't figure out how to do it. And hopefully I'll come into class and all of you will say, I don't know what you're talking about, Miss Betsy. Estimating quotients was simple. And that would be great. So y'all have a good week. I'll see you next time.